Desire for people to just see workflows and the different experiments that people are running and the different learnings that others have.
Tooling kind of increases our capacity in the day. We have more things we can do now because the tooling makes those kind of rote things easier.
I'm able to go through a spectrum of explorations that are so much larger than I could do in a day, and I can do it in minutes.
Agents are using tools. What does that look like and what does that mean?
Show up, try things, be curious.
I think the future is bright, but it has to be built.
I always see things that I didn't plan on seeing. I'm making micro decisions that I didn't have a grid for a year ago, and it's only because of the ability that AI gives me.
I feel like there's this binary thinking that like AI means fully automated, and it's like no, in fact I think some of the better workflows are the ones that aren't fully automated.
The ability to effectively multitask at a really high level is one of the core skills of operating in this AI world.
No preconceived notions about how things should be done.
This is the moment in time right now to reap the rewards of being
publicly curious. What do you do with the question, what if?
Hey guys.
Hi.
What's up, Design Fam?
This is Chloe Park.
Jenny Wen.
This is Soleo, and you're listening.
And you're listening
to the Dive
Radio Show.
Ta-da!
Top of the afternoon, my friend.
Hello, sir. How you feeling?
I'm ready to go, man. I feel like we're in a little bit of a routine. Number 5, like it feels
week 5,
almost
and I feel like we've been up to this for a minute.
Yeah, same. Excited about today though.
I want to hear the story real quick. So you get fiber Wi-Fi, you get fiber internet. We've had complaints for the first 3 weeks that the RID's quality was it could be better, and so goes out of your way. You put in all this work to get that installed. What happens?
So I did put in a lot of work to get it installed, and I'm like on the phone with AT&T. I'm like, you got to get out there before Thursday, and I get it in, and I'm feeling great, and I have way better Wi-Fi. Simultaneously, I have these contractors who have been working on my backyard who said they were going to start the first week of May, and they just started last week. And it coincided where I get my fiber cable put in, and then the contractors come the next day. But when they put in a fiber cable, they don't bury it. A different person hooks it up, and then they send another person back to bury it a week later. And so I get my fiber cable in for last Thursday. It works great. I go out of town on Friday. That day, a bunch of contractors came, ran over my fiber cable, killed it, and now I'm back on old school Comcast Wi-Fi while I wait in purgatory in AT&T hell to have somebody come out and fix it. So I had exactly 24 hours of fiber Wi-Fi.
I love that. Kyle says, so far the routine is alternating between who has absolute garbage video quality. Yeah. Was that me? Was that ever me? I think we've had some.
It was down. It last week was, like we're doing our best, man. We're doing best.
Well, thank you for joining us. RID's internet quality and Tommy's low mic needs to be added in web. Yeah. Wait a second. My mic should be good now. I need someone to confirm in the.
It always sounds good to me. It always sounds good to me.
Let us know. Let us know. Yes, sir. Last week. Okay. Well, welcome to the show, guys. Pretty excited because there's actually quite a lot of stuff popping off on Twitter today that I want to react to. before we get to this idea of something that's come up in conversation a couple of times about prototyping. And there's some pretty cool workflows that I want to show. But before we get to it, and it wouldn't be a proper dive radio episode if we weren't trying to push something to production in the 10 minutes leading up to it. So I was going to do a pretty much a big, large overhaul of how we do Designer of the Week. Didn't get to that, but we did want to do at least a small treatment and incorporate these, the avatars, you know, the backyard designer avatars. So
Did you get it in?
We got a small version. And so it's
Okay, there you go.
know, this isn't the end all be all of things. However, the polls are up, and I want to go ahead and give a little bit of love to our nominees for Designer of the Week, which we will announce. You were quiet, Tommy. Better now. Cool. But we will announce the winner at the end of the show after we do our live call-ins. You can call in. And I'm probably going to put that number up a little earlier so you guys can get into the queue. But until then, it's, last week's winner was Dimitri. Killer body of work. And Dimitri has a nominee for us. Let's listen in.
Hey guys, my name is Dmitry. I'm a websites and brand designer. I'm super excited to be here on the Dive Radio podcast. Thank you, Red. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you, George, for giving me this opportunity to nominate the next Designer of the Week. And it's Faye. Faye formerly worked at Laravel, and currently she's absolutely killing it at Mintlify. And what blows me away about Faye is the level of attention to detail, the level of effort she puts into everything she does, and her thoughtful creativity, which I rarely find across the work that I see on Twitter. It's just, you can look at her work for minutes and still find new things and uncover and unravel her way of thinking, and I absolutely love her work because of that. I think more people should look at her work and more people should follow, and I genuinely think we need more people obsessed with what they do like Faye does. So that's my nomination. Thank you.
Dude, what a strong start. I kind of feel bad for everyone who comes after that one.
Yeah,
Faye,
that's kind of tough.
What
Faye's work's good.
What a beast. Kyle Zantos, what's up, dude? Kyle, by the way, you just had him on the Dive Club podcast.
Yeah.
Really killer episode. Three-peat. The first time three-peat. Guest on Dive Club. Very cool, man. Says we need to get you an omnidirectional. No omnidirectionals. Highly against that on these formats. Let's get into friend of the program.
Hi, Dive Radio. I'm James McDonald, and this week I nominate Anna Malia. I followed Anna on X recently, and I really loved, her work on her portfolio. She had really interesting use of colour and really cool visuals on there. So that's what really stood out for me. So hope you enjoy her work just as much as I did.
Very, very.
Can you imagine how cool it would be to have James McDonald film a video to recommend you in front of a bunch of people? That's kind of cool. I'm just appreciating how that.
Two of my favorite designers' voices as they explain things was Eni and James. I could listen to James give a presentation all day.
So a fun fact about James is my family does all the editing and everything for Dive Club, and I had James on a couple years ago. Was his first episode, and because everybody edits the videos, we kind of talk about whoever's going live that week. And for a week straight, my entire family just tried to recreate his accent, and we all just walked around talking to each other with it. So James has a special place in the Rittering household.
I'll have to work on that. I am going to go, and then I want to hear your nomination.
Cool.
But I will say, Riejo is a member of our little Discord community, and probably one of my most recent inspirations for all things 3D and motion. When it comes to that, big Blender user, has an incredible body of work that I guess I'll go on record as saying I'm a simple man. I see motion, I see 3D, I see lights, me likey. This is some fantastic work, and I would actually love, Reho, to see your process in the ideation and bringing this to
That's
life.
cool.
I'm very curious. I know that Blender 3D is a staple tool of yours, and you can just see the like interactions and the attention to detail. Oh, the D&D Dungeon Master in me loves this. That he puts into every piece of work here, right? Like this is some, and it's like you see this kind of work, and you can imagine when you go to a website, an Airbnb, where you see the icons for the categories, and maybe there's just some subtle movement when you hover over something. This is the kind of discipline happen. And I would love to see what tools you use today. How do you use, if at all, AI or any other tools to concept this stuff out? Riejo, hell of a talent. What do you got for us, Red?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share Logan Brannon, and I came across his portfolio. I don't know, a couple months ago, maybe. And my initial reaction is like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Like, what's going on here? Dripping in swag in a really weird way, and I didn't really know what to do with his portfolio, and I'm kind of scrolling through it. And, he's got some fun like Doji recreations and stuff. And then two things. One, I really liked how he called himself a builder / art director. I think that is an interesting way to position your skill set. And then I clicked into this Paragon work. And I believe, I should have double checked before talking, but I believe he was the first designer that did everything in the beginning. So he's doing the product brand, everything about the visual system, and look at how good this work is. It's so cool, man. There is just, it's beautiful UI, all kinds of fun. Like you can see where the art director stuff comes out, all kinds of really fun motion concepts, logo animations, graphic. This is the kind of person that you bring in as a first employee or a first designer at a startup, and it's like the ultimate unlock and superpower, because it's really, I think it's so cool to see somebody who can own the entire spectrum of design, every single piece of the UX, the UI, the brand, the motion. I think it's cool. So I scrolled this and I just had a moment of appreciation for like, all right, there are some people that are super skilled. And this dude has like 100 followers on Twitter. He just got a job at Ford, super under the radar. And I think he's just incredibly skilled. So I wanted to shine a light on him.
Shout out Logan. Go vote for us all. You can do so by visiting dive.radio/vote. We will have this up for the remainder of today's program. Head on over. Let's see what we got. Faye and Riejo actually in tied already. So we'll come revisit this near the end of the show. Very cool to see. We have some things happening. A lot of things happening. I'm going to get something out of the way real quick. It's something that's, I think, just worth calling out. Not a big design topic. I saw OpenAI just dropped the ultra fast mode, super fast. And I want to ask you, when you do any sort of coding work, AI coding work, where are you at on the speed spectrum here? You always turn fast mode on? What do you do?
Yeah, I have default fast as the toggle selected in Conductor.
Just like, how can I just torch more tokens at a clip?
I feel bad saying it because it's like, obviously I'm working in a heavily subsidized environment where I'm effectively just taking VC money and handing it to our foundational model overlords. It's like, I understand how that sounds, but yeah, it's fast. I don't turn off fast mode ever.
Yeah. If I can get speed out of it, that makes me happy. So I'll be playing with that. Don't know a lot about it yet. This is hot right now. Like right now. I think you even sent me one more take that maybe we should include as we press go live. The Google Achieve design. I'm still getting up to speed with this. I am laughing at the reactions. So
I don't get it.
My understanding here is they used some material design elements on this, and this is the meme where they're like, why is he The Big Short, I think, right? And it's Steve Carell, and they go, why are they confessing? And they're like, I don't think he's confessing. They're bragging.
That's such a good reference. Oh my
You know,
gosh.
and I see that here, and so I'm looking, and Google Design is like celebrating, and hey, listen, I don't like to shit on any designer's work, and I'm gonna reserve a little bit of that judgment here, but I can understand some of the things that stand out to me that I wouldn't ship.
Oh
right?
yeah. Are you able to see a few of them?
And I want to be clear, like the amount of clay molding I do inside of GPT with Image 2 typically has a lot of issues, but it does look quite a bit better than this to start rendering. So we're seeing some of the backlash here, and there's quite a bit, right? Like, nah, sorry, dude, not happening. Get it out of here. Fonz, I mean, like some of our folks in this community immediately hitting it. There's still time to delete this. I love Dan. All right, number one, what? Kits is like, hey, can you delete design from your name? Which some people are taking seriously. We have Chris here who ex Google. Yeah, no thanks. Sorry, I'm. Not really with that.
Man.
That's brutal. That is brutal.
Brutal. I didn't see that.
Yeah. So deserved. What do you think, man?
Okay. First off, I still don't actually really know what to do with it, right? It's like I saw it and I was like, oh God, that's bad. I gotta hop in the comments. You know, when you see a post and you're like, oh, I'm about to hang out in these comments. That was that. But then I saw a first like 3 or 4, and it was basically mocking it for rage bait. And I'm like, oh, this is sarcastic. This is some kind of a weird corporate comms thing. Genius. And then I just closed Twitter. And then I came back a few hours later and I'm like, wait, actually, this is serious. This is really serious. And now I'm just confused. Like, I think Chris Puckett had a really good take. He's like, if this was an individual designer from Google sharing this, yeah, like we'd have to go to bat for that person. You know, none of these comments would be acceptable if they were pointed at an individual. It's just so easy that it's pointed at the big G, and whoever worked on it has anonymity. It's like it's just too easy to rip it to shreds. It reminds me, like, like 7 years ago or so, I was helping friend of the show MDS with Shift Nudge, and he brought me on as a design advisor. And what that meant was I would make an ungodly amount of Loom critique videos as designers would submit their like homework assignments. I'd make just so many. And the very first assignment was you had to design this UI for a product it was like a heated coffee mug. It's like, how would you design this heated coffee mug interface? What would that look like? And he gives you a couple of constraints to work around. And some of them were good. And some of them you would open up and you'd just be like, oh man, where do I even start? Because it was the first episode. It was the first assignment, right? Like they hadn't internalized any of the curriculum. Some people just didn't have any natural visual chops. And it would be really disheartening. And you'd kind of just be like, I don't even, it's just so hard to give this person feedback because everything's wrong. You know, every single part of it is wrong. It felt like I was getting one of those at Shift Nudge. That is what this design felt like. Which is fun.
Yeah, and that's so true. If this was, I mean, because if it was an individual designer, it opens it up for critique and feedback, and like you could be more constructive. I think, even though I'm sure plenty of people wouldn't be, but that is something that gets me excited when it comes from big corporate. We had someone in our community though asking if this was, if this was Dan or Fonz posting this, would the sentiment shift? I understand what they're saying. That's a hard thing to even imagine, though, right?
I mean, for sure it would shift.
You know?
Here's the thing. They called attention to the interaction where it has like the delayed border radius transition and the bright high contrast color. I actually believe that somebody skilled could make that cool. You know, like that's not inherently wrong. That was just a bold choice. I think it's the combination of that inside of the composition of just so many things that are visually not appealing and it's impossible for it to be cool then. But like if you gave someone like Fonz, it's like, hey, make this interaction cool, he would make it cool. There's something, you could do it. You could do something that would feel like, oh, that was a weird thing, I guess I like it, you know?
This is a few ingredients away from not being bad.
Like 17, but yeah.
you could judge this thing, you know. I think someone should take the stab at it, actually, you know. Show us your chops. Everyone in the comments having yeah, here it is. Wait, $4 trillion companies are posting bait on design Twitter now. Ooh.
Yeah, that was Puckett, right? That was the one where I was like, oh, got me, bait. Yeah. You know, and now I'm like, I don't think that was bait.
Yeah, that's tough. Meanwhile, people are kind of comparing the two big. So we've got Achieve, their little mock-up sample app, versus Instagram's new rebrand. Seeing a lot of these rebrands of logo marks lately, which, hey, I like that stuff. The Instagram logo mark. So we had kind of their custom script from before, which I actually thought when I first saw that when it came out was killer. I was like, that's so good. Really liked it. Yeah. They are doing the thing that I'm starting to notice is becoming more prevalent, especially amongst tech companies. I remember when Flora came out and they were kind of injecting sans serif with like the occasional, like a vowel was in like a pixelated different type. And they're doing the same here with a sort of sans serif meets like a script. And what I'll say is this. I don't like it as much as the previous one, but I do really appreciate how well I think they balanced this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, interesting to me. What do you think?
I think that's where I'm at. Sometimes drops like this happen, and I'm like, do I know anything about logo design? Because I actually haven't seen a single positive sentiment about this. Have you? Have you seen one person be like, this is really good?
Yeah, guys, we've got some par the course, though. I don't think there's, I think most of the time if a big company rebrands, there's not a lot of initial positive sentiment. I think occasionally it happens, but I think it's more often than not that people have a lot of critical things to say.
Yeah, we just don't like change. We don't like change. We hated the Airbnb logo and everybody loves that now, you know?
Right.
I look at this Instagram one, if I look at it in isolation, I kind of like it. I think it's cool. I think the treatment on the S and the R is fun. Like
Ryan
I like it.
Says,
I think it's well done.
Well, Ryan Scott says too, I'd like to see how the rest of the things evolve around it. And I agree. I'm very curious to see. Yeah. And this could be one of the cases where they're like, we're going to just do some refreshing and have this plug into, you know, so I don't know. But I'll tell you this.
I think it's tough because the first version is amazing. Like that, it's really, really good. You know, so they took something that frankly just didn't need to be redesigned, and they made something that I think is still pretty interesting. But you're always going to lose that game.
Yeah, and especially given the fact that Google did what they did today, they're probably a little bit safer. Yeah. But good stuff. Figma at a $12.69 billion market cap, and obviously we talked about their quarters report last week. You made point to call it out. The Lovable, who just raised $400 million at a $13.3 billion valuation. When did Lovable start? That was like 2 to 3 years ago, tops. 2 years ago.
Isn't this like hotly debated? Because they say that like they pushed the starting line back, like all the companies were doing. That was like when your time to like 100 million run rate was so important. So I don't know if anybody has an answer to that question, but it's young, man. It's really young.
That's crazy to me to see how this is happening, but it's also a really strong indicator. You know, there's a lot of people who push back and they'll be like, oh, the money's going into one thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a signal for something, but I would argue that this is a pretty big signal. If you needed any additional signals to show you that the state of prototyping and things in prototyping are changing, here's one to put alongside that shelf. Prototyping, a topic we're going to dive into here shortly at length. Nad had something to say about this.
Hey, so we announced our Series C yesterday, which is really exciting. Honestly, this journey is just completely nuts, just really exhilarating in kind of every way possible. But really exciting and motivating just seeing people do things that they just never thought would be possible, including like first-time founders who can just build companies now completely end-to-end, which they just couldn't do even 12 months ago. But I'm surprised actually at the lack of designer founders out of all of the types of founders that I speak to. And so I'm kind of a bit bummed about that. And so I'd love to learn why, or why not, rather. And I'd be interested to get your takes on what would push designers from just prototyping to actually building entire startups and companies end to end, because the tools can do it now. And so I kind of want to figure out what's next. I was even thinking about having some kind of after school club where, you know, we could hang out and have like a bit of a build club. I can bring the tokens if we need to, but let me know what you think. I am so merched up. That's completely unintentional. But shout out to Nick for the brand and to Fonz actually for the beautiful artwork. But peace.
Hey, can I get some merch, Nat? Can I get a shirt?
I got a hat. I got a lovable hat. I actually wear it a lot from the ones they were giving out at the after party.
I didn't expect him to pose that question. That actually got me. There were two things in there that got me thinking right away. I thought this was just like a, hey, we raise money and we're happy. That is interesting. The lack of design founders. I don't have any data on this. Haven't researched it, and I think I have some thoughts. Why do you think we're not seeing? Or do you agree with that we're not seeing an explosion?
I totally agree with that. I remember talking to Ben Blumenrose about this like 18 months ago, and it just felt inevitable that we'd have an explosion of design founders. And I'm like, where are they? We cite the same 6 people constantly.
Yeah, it's very true. I think, there's probably so many, it's a nuanced answer, a lot of ingredients to this. I think one of the things that plagues most designers is this constant desire to achieve ideal outcomes. This needs to be this way. This should operate this way. This should ethically behave this way in a time frame that's not typically feasible to keep you alive, right? Whether you're at a company and you're banging the drum, hey, we need to have accessibility be at 100% on day one, but we haven't found product market fit. Designers who can't deal with not having that ideal outcome exactly as they visualize it right away because it's blocked by market factors and other things that have to get prioritized, they typically get really damn miserable. And I think that eats the emotional toll a lot faster. And you can maybe manage that at a company where you have a more focused lane of work. When you're a founder, you have to balance so many things against the ideal outcomes that designers typically try to achieve. And if you don't know how to balance the fact that you don't have product market fit, you have payroll, you have a number of revenue things that have to be met in order to achieve those ideal outcomes. If you can't use fierce pragmatism to achieve ideal outcomes, then being a founder is going to be extremely painful, more so than it already is. And I think that might be one explanation.
I think we might just be pansies too.
I think that goes for just basically, yeah. What you think?
I think it's also, I mean, yeah, but also think about the stuff that gets celebrated in the community and the types of things that we build. We build tools and products that mostly revolve around the use cases that we experience, which makes sense. That's the stuff that we understand. But you're also putting that out there in front of a broad community of people that are all equipped to kind of just build the exact same things. We're really kind of just copying each other rather than you almost have to find a problem that exists in an industry that is not the stuff that just gets a bunch of clicks on Twitter. Yeah. Maybe that is happening more than we think, and it's just not being shown on Twitter. But I will say I've been looking, and I haven't found many stories. And if you have that story, you should ping me because I'd love to talk about it.
100% agreed, because I still believe the sentiment that if designers found a way to unlearn some of the things that they learned in the day job part of this, but brought other things that they're super spiky in related to design, I think you have a fantastic trajectory to build some really great products that will find fit. And the other part of this could be that maybe we see designers building stuff every day. Maybe there's just a laggard curve of people who have figured out like, oh, I can build a thing. And now they're figuring out, wait, how do I go to market with this, right? I will tell you, and I'm a constant enemy of cynicism. If you are somebody who builds things, but you also get pissed off at social media and how distribution economics work and the whole thing, that's going to make it harder. The people who just lean 100% in to how the game is played, build something, and then figure out how to play the game with the thing they built, I think will have a less painful time and find more success more easily.
Yeah, I think that's well said.
You know, moving on. So Benji drops. Benji with not shaken at all by the changes, apparently. Out here dropping Grok bot, the entire Grok bot ecosystem. Very interesting. You and I had a small exchange about it. I'm still so heavily team OpenClaw. And one day we'll have to do an episode on that, because I still maintain, after trying all the tools out there, I would put my OpenClaw setup up against Carpathy, up against Gary Tan. I genuinely think it's one of the most robust, mature frameworks, and made possible because of how much freedom I have within the OpenClaw ecosystem. But Grok's bot and this thing that's in beta now looks really compelling, and we'll talk about it in a second. But I want to look at the details of the UI, of the mascot animation. I'm starting to see a lot more of these. Starting to see a lot more of these mascots, dude.
Yeah.
By the way,
They
Daniel,
kind of all look the same a little bit.
they do.
Yeah.
They do. And Daniel Kuhn's kind of calling it out, like, hey, where's my money? I did a video on his little card that he created a while back. I think it's like an Arduino thing or something along those lines.
Yeah.
It's like, are we claiming trademark on the eye slots? But
It's just it's so generic, but they nailed it though, man. It's so good. They nailed it.
It's very fun. And it does. It just kind of goes to show, like, you can do some pretty effective things simply. People are creating the tools for it. Like, look, I made a way to manipulate this. Very cool. And this is what we're talking about. A lot of designers coming out building these tools, and they're not so far removed from, like, yeah, now build the economics around it, make it work. But everything I'm seeing, John, by sharing the Grok bot, how it started originally as like an exploration of what an ambient computer assistant might look like. This is cool. I like seeing this coming out of the design Twitter house, or like the actual, I want to see more of this.
I'm hoping to get approval. He's talking to the team, but like the plan tentatively is to record an episode about the process next week. So
are they pretty close to vest on this?
Well, I mean, obviously he shared a bunch on Twitter and it got like 200,000 impressions, but it's an XAI company now. So I think nobody really knows, but it would be so cool to get the story. I'd love to get behind the scenes. Also, it's an interesting thing to like, can you just think about this for a moment? They've obviously worked on this for a long time, like this has been a Cursor project for months. They nail it. And then to see your baby go to market as bot under the XAI handle, it's interesting, right? Like it's got to be a little bit of a weird feeling. It's got to be
someone called out that Elon Musk just recently followed Cognition. It's like,
oh my gosh,
what are we up to over there? What do we got going on? I like this, by the way. Wojciech says, someone called it the little guyification of software. And I'll tell you what, not incorrect. I mean, look at this. Look at this sidebar here. There's nothing new or novel happening here, but I'll tell you this. As someone who, I use OpenClaw, I've used a lot of different harnesses on top of it, and I build a lot of full-blown apps as slices of entry points and workflows into OpenClaw. OpenClaw is just like the general broad surface area, and then the apps that I create on top of it solve specific use cases. And this makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I know this is, again, not that different, but there's just the element of the different types of little guys is actually visually very helpful.
Yeah.
I'm a fan.
It's,
a
lot of people complaining about how it's the exact same pattern and everything looks the same, but it's kind of like, you know what? It's a good thing, Like we solved it. We really did. Yeah. Like this, of course it's a sidebar with a list.
At some point, we got to lean into the lessons we learn and stand on those shoulders.
You would be so dumb to change it. I will say that I was playing with it last night, took it for a spin, spun up a couple of bots. Really good experience, actually. I think the one thing that feels limiting and where I would maybe want a little bit control, because this is kind of the 80-20. This is the 80-20 OpenClaw, right? It's just out of the box, simple OpenClaw.
Yeah.
Where it gets a little bit weird to me is the threading approach. I think I want a little bit more from threading. Like I want the main bot
Threading.
to be the top level comms, and then I want to be able to spin out sub conversations and then jump into those if I need to. Almost like have a command center view that's not just like a flat chat as the default thing. And maybe that's just too power user and it'll never exist. But that's the one thing where I'm like, do I want to go in
I
on
think
this?
you're onto something. Someone from Anthropic recently asked on Twitter, hey, would you want to be able to talk to your other Claude conversations? And I mean, the answer is yes. I would love for my sessions to be able to interact amongst each other that way. And you would need, so it's like this, some sort of sim link between sessions that you can jump in and out of at different, and what does that look like? And it starts to feel a little bit too many layers deep, but there is something useful in being able to see that. And the question becomes, how do you visualize it? So I'm curious. I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little guyification here. We've got the little Anthropic Pac-Man ghost looking dude. OpenAI. I don't know. I think we'll go with the XAI on this one right now. Anthropic's unique. OpenAI, I don't like that very much.
I think I'm taking Anthropic. I think OpenAI just didn't push this. They could have owned all of these types of cute little interactions that XAI is going viral for right now, but they didn't really push it very far. I love the Anthropic. It's so unique, and the way that it all feels 8-bit. I actually really like it. I think that's kind of the dark horse.
So then does Dive Club, does Dive Radio, does Dive in any aspect need, do we need a little guy?
What would our little guy even be?
What would our little guy even be?
I feel like designers everywhere yesterday were asking themselves that question. What would my little guy even be?
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, you know, the Backyard Designers was like your personal little guy.
True.
In some ways, but I am curious. Like this is an interesting thing, and you know, I'll say this too. There was an era in the 2010s where the first kind of the chat box 1.0 was really trying to get rolled out, and it sucked because it just didn't deliver what something like a Chat GPT can do today. But there were some clever mascotting happening around this that, if the functionality actually kept up, could have been interesting. I remember Intercom had some stuff and a bunch of other people. I don't know. But the kind of people who solve these problems, one of my favorites, Rio Lu, departing Cursor, was curious what it meant when we saw the Jenny Wen hire. And I know some people kind of, you know, so this was interesting to me. Thoughts on the Rio Lu departure?
I definitely thought he was just going to transition back into an IC, because that is two totally separate jobs and sets of skills to be able to be the first real designer and then hyperscale $60 billion company acquisition. Like I would have totally understood if he'd have been like, you know what? I don't want this job. This job kind of sucks. I just want to go back to making things. That's kind of what I assumed it was. It sounds like it's more a, you know what? I'm going to ride off into the sunset. And I think that is awesome. 2 for 2, man. 2 for 2.
2 for 2. I said it as much too. At this point, you've led design on 2 products that have become household for me, my family and my businesses. And when I say a household, I really do mean this household operates on Notion, both business side and like family activity stuff, and Cursor. Though the children in my family who do vibe code are heavily Cursor users. And it's pretty interesting to know the person who helped put a lot of that together on the design side. So Rio, excited to see what you do next. Speaking of Notion, friend of the program, one of our partners, Notion, we appreciate you. They recently announced Notion as code. And this makes a lot of sense. On one end, it's like, cool. I'm glad this has arrived now. What can I do with this? How do I think about it? Now, when they originally announced this off the top, I was like, am I coding inside of Notion? And essentially as I've started to use this, you know, when you have your knowledge management set up, and Notion's become one of the leading knowledge management tools for company knowledge, organizational knowledge, everything that exists, we're using it to capture a lot of our voting mechanics, and I'll show that in a second. It would make sense to be able to quickly, easily, and in like some sort of structure, accurately use this as the back end, so to speak, for some of the tools we create. And that's essentially what Notion Code has done here. The ability to have version control on your repos or on your knowledge management areas. The ability to take something like a Notion database and immediately spin it up into like a functional tool that you can use. That's really compelling to me. I love this. Still in beta. You can request access. But ultimately, it's a command CLI that you can plug into your Claude Code. You can plug into your OpenClaw agents. You can access this. Go ahead.
I was going to say, without even knowing that you were going to do this segment, this is what I did last night. Like when I was playing with Bot for the first time, like just the natural use case was like, okay, I built this like new type of CRM, and I was kind of just asking Bot, like, I don't know, I was trying to figure out how to think about like these types of like, what should I try? What should I experiment with? Here's everything about me kind of thing. And right away, it's like, oh, well, Notion, slam dunk, like just make this the backend for your whole talent network operations. Yes. And it worked amazingly. And it just spun up this perfect database with the perfect views, and it's powering this set of cron jobs to look for cool tech companies that are hiring on LinkedIn. And it all happens, and it just made it in like 30 minutes. And now I have like this nice source of truth in Notion. And it was an aha moment for me. It's like, okay, as I'm doing more of this agent-led, like building these types of workflows and automations, Notion feels like the clear, like foundational layer for that stuff. I'm pretty bought in.
It's really nice to be able to host things like our roster of the backyard designers inside of Notion at this granular level. And listen, like, yes, a database can do this, and this is essentially a database view inside of Notion. The difference between looking at like a Postgres database table and a Notion table, just a little bit more human friendliness. You can access. It's just this is something as a surface area I really appreciate having. Same with our dive vote results, which we're going to look at here in a second. But then I can even do things like take the Notion database and ask Framer's external agents to just build out the roster in a quick, directory list. This took me 5 minutes. And again, I'm going to use that word tool chaining. Really cool to see how, like think about how long it took us to get a lot of the enterprise tools to have APIs and this interconnectivity to work together all through the mid 2000s or mid 2010 area. And now we have everybody rushing to build these doorways for agents to cross collaborate. And that's exactly what's happening. So I'm very happy that Notion's done this. You come in. What I did was a quick thing. I sign in through the terminal. I'm like, hey, NTN, log in, it logs me in. Go ahead and let's create ourselves a space for this particular, in this case, this was in this case, this was our backyard designers and our voting. You go over here, and it's like, I think one of the things that works really well here is just how quickly this scaffolds up based on the structure of Notion and opens it up to be used in other apps. So it's very nice, very clean. I had to comment something out, but anytime we want to repeat this, we throw a cron job at it. It just continues to ingest the results. So,
dude, I got a cool Notion thing that I saw. So people were talking about Craft Deck in the comments, the thing that Gabe Valdivia built. It's amazing, right? So the day before he launched, he kind of just gave me like a little behind the scenes of it. And he had it set up so it was a Notion Kanban board that was his like review pipeline for all of the asset creation. So he had a next up, then he had a column for review. And so he could go in there, and then if he just added a comment, it would rerun it. And then if he took the card and dragged it into the accepted, it would automatically trigger a deploy in Vercel. How sick is that?
When you're making the admin backends just as sexy as the consumer experience. Yeah, I love it.
I didn't even know you could do. I still actually don't understand how he did it, but he showed me it. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like he literally productized. Yeah, this is so good. Everybody should click on this and go to it if they haven't.
I forgot we haven't, because he launched this on Friday,
day after
last week's show. So we haven't really given any love to this. This is super cool. And we feel like we know about it because Gabe was talking about it. But yeah, we haven't talked about this. And so this is craftdeck.gg. And he made a card game, and he pulled in a bunch of great designers members, and you can add yourself to this, is my understanding, pretty quickly. You're in.
You should try to turn down. Can you turn down the volume on the craft deck?
Did I? Is it still going?
Yeah, it's still going.
Oh no.
Super loud.
I muted it here. Yeah, unfortunately. I don't understand why this is working. I'm gonna exit out for now. I muted it in the ARC, so I'm not sure why it was still playing in the so-and-so. But very cool here. Oh no, that's also. I don't think you guys heard that. Thank God, because I would have. That was a flashbang equivalent. But yeah, everyone's in there. Go craftdeck.gg. Gabe.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat.
And you can face off, by the way. You can actually face off against people, which I think is pretty cool. But that's a hell of a workflow for him to have inside.
I know. It blew my mind. I don't really get it. I just saw it and I'm like, oh yeah, I would do this for a lot of different things.
Real quick, I want to check out the current results of our Designer of the Week, brought to you by Notion. We have Rio in the lead. Ooh, I am shook that Anna is sitting at 4% right now. I think Anna had one heck of a showing. Very curious to see what
it's a tough deck right now.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
I still haven't won one of these, so I'm really go vote for Logan, everybody.
You haven't won one of these yet.
No.
What's going on over there, man? Jeez.
I'm trying to shine lights on new people here. I feel like I'm going up against heavy hitters. I'm just gonna have to start getting a little bit more creative here.
I want to talk about prototyping for a second, because not for a second. I want to dig into this. All right, because this concept of prototyping, and I just showed you Notion. I walked through like this idea of how tools are now able to be chained together so quickly. I mean, everything I just walked through with the Notion example is a form of a prototype that took about 15 minutes to set up, that tool chained across Notion, Framer, and a number of other tools that we're using on the engineering side. And it's so different now, because the kinds of things that we're seeing, I mean, like if I go and look at, I conducted the state of prototyping survey in the spring. It's August. Shouldn't be that far away. It feels like this data couldn't be more stale at this point, right? The numbers at the time were pretty interesting. 43.8% of our statistically significant pool of people are vibe coding 50% or more in their work. And I guarantee that this has just flown up since we conducted this survey. And you know, you see like there's still at the time about a split of 3, a slice of 3 that in the 30 percentile who are doing some versus none versus majority. And today, as we're going to hear from a couple of people, including ourselves, on how prototyping is working for us, there is something to be said. And I remember when Hang shared this image, and of all the things I've seen him share, I've never seen something more accurate than this visual. It feels so accurate to things right now. Is this how you're working?
Asterisks. We can talk about it a little bit. I think I still generally work like this, but I maybe a little bit less than I was 4 months ago.
Okay. I want to hear about it. And I think we are in a moment. This was kind of the old way for me, right? And I pulled some images from like an old startup we tried to put together, and it was like we came together, we did a design sprint, and it was a great example of even how I used to work independently, which was if I've got a blank canvas, I'd always start from the blank canvas. How do I inform it? Well, let's go and collect some information, competitor analysis. How are they doing it? Let's go and look at Dribbble or Mobbin or different places. What are some of the patterns that are solving similar problems? And then let's create sort of a crazy 8, a grid of the key moments that I think need to surface to solve whatever the case is. In this case, it's kind of an inventory management problem, right? And so we kind of do that, and then you go in and you're breaking down you're going and you're doing some like manual digging. And listen, I love wrestling with these ideas. I like spending a good hour really absorbing the different patterns of metaphors that exist in the wild, as well as competitors who are doing some cool stuff. and then you come back and maybe you'll bring it to life. Okay, this is actually one of the most like the ideal happy paths, and here are the 3 key moments and the things I like about them. And you slowly evolve. You build on top incrementally one big object at a time. I'm curious how much of that is still happening versus that version that Hing shared with us, you know? So how are you doing it, man?
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of a timeline because I did allude to some kind of a change. I think I was previously doing exactly this, where I would just on top of prod either just change it directly, or maybe I would set up like some kind of a subfolder where I could just kind of make a mess. But I was doing everything on top of the production database and then just prompting all kinds of craziness and then slowly whittling it away, or maybe duplicating it and creating a new version. I would build a lot of pseudo version histories on top of the production code base in like an isolated route. And I don't know, I've started doing it a little bit differently. Like I'm relying, let me just show you. I actually pulled this up.
Okay.
I'll take this over really quickly. So I had Claude before this, mainly because I was curious. I had it pull out the HTML quick mock-up prototypes that I had made this week. It's a lot, man. Like, right? Like this is a look at Tuesday. Like this was a big build day for me. I didn't have a lot of meetings. I don't know what this is, maybe 20, 25. And each one of these is some kind of and there's many versions behind even just this page. But I'm like, okay, I'm looking at a publish modal. I'm not building these on top of the code base anymore. I have a design MD file that is specifically built to help me quickly prototype in HTML in a way that looks and feels like the product. And so
Without
I wanted
being
to
connected to all the actual functionality
it's
of the backend.
completely throwaway. Because of that, it's able to go really fast. It just gets outside of all of the rules of the code base, all of the checks, all of everything. Just quick HTML, CSS. And it's enough where you can kind of get a sense of a quick interaction. Like I was doing a publish modal and I was like, oh, you know, what if they're just chips? And then I could see more on the right here versus, you know, maybe it's an embedded scroll track. This was enough for me to realize, okay, you know, this is interesting, but I don't like it, kind of thing. And from this point, then I'm like, let's build concept B. And again, I had probably another 15 behind even just these 2 concepts to arrive at this point. But it's so fast. Another one, I was playing with, I wanted to play with this kind of like GUI input for typing your name to anonymously give feedback. And so I was like, you know, what could this look like, kind of thing. And that gave me all of the relevant sliders. It whipped this thing up in like 90 seconds. And I can dial it in and then just say, yeah, build it like this. Or another one, I was kind of doing a countdown to start the timer to give video feedback. And without even me being very prescriptive, like in HTML, it just whipped up like this whole environment that I can use to like customize what this countdown even looks like, including a bunch of defaults. And then I just dialed it in, took a screenshot, pasted it in the Claude. And then at that point, it's building it in the code base. And sometimes there's actually an intermediary step. Like this was, which one? I was doing this today. I'm trying to like refine this widget UI. And I didn't really like what these looked like. And so I kind of was like, okay, actually, let's just do things the old fashioned way. I do this all the time where I'm like, I tell Claude, hey, can you just print pixel perfect this state of the product into paper? And I have a skill to ensure that it follows that design MD. It uses the tokens inside of paper and it uses all the correct SVGs. And honestly, I've spent more time designing the quote unquote old fashioned way on a canvas in paper in the last month than I have probably in like the 6 months prior. And yeah. And I think the split for me is like, you get enthralled with this idea of being able to ship to prod. At least I have. Like, I've owned the front end for 3 whole versions of InFlight. And when everything you build ultimately is just going to become like production front end, you pretty much just start off on that path and fast track to it. And I've started, I think the pendulum's been swinging to a middle ground for me, where I'm realizing I should do more true prototyping and less building onto production, because you get too into execution mode. You know what I mean? And so I'm a week into this experiment. I'll share what I'm doing here in a second. Maybe it is a bad idea. This is not investment advice. This is the thing that I am trying right now. At a really high level, what I have realized is I think I'm spending too much time dealing with all of the production edge cases, and it's stealing from my ability to do true design thinking. And so originally what I did was had a back and forth with Fable. And I was like, I want to be able to hook up to dummy data and just design with dummy data. And I want it to all use our production front end components, but with dummy data, and I can do different state management, and I can kind of get ahead of production in certain ways without having to worry about all of the back end. It's kind of like a separate sandbox, except it's not actually a separate sandbox. It literally lives in the production repo. My initial attempt was wrong, and my engineer was like, what the hell are you doing? Let's not do it like that, which was I tried to create a seam where I could take the front end components and basically either hook them up to the dummy data or hook them up to the production database. And what it ended up introducing too much complexity to like the way that the components were built. So I had a conversation with my engineer. This would have been last Friday. And we kind of arrived at this place of, you know what? Our entire careers, we've thought that duplication was a bad thing. You know, you just don't make a copy of something. Don't create 2 sources of truth. That's been just ingrained into my brain. The fact is, the models now are so unbelievably good at maintaining 2 duplications and constantly updating them. They're really, really good at it. The cost of duplication has almost fell to 0. And it took me a second to be okay with that. But after about like a 40-minute conversation, we arrived at this situation where I literally now have a duplicated set of front-end components and a system and a skill where whenever I hit review in Conductor, it is automatically looking through, it's porting over, there's like a fidelity check, is what it's called, to make sure that these 2 are in sync at all times. And it's so far, like within the first week, it's really good. And what it allows me to do is this. So I have 2 routes. I have playground/widget, and I have playground/, well, that's the wrong, it's a different tab, never mind. Playground/widget and playground/dashboard, which is this guy here. Sorry, I'm dealing with the screen share nonsense. Okay, so anyway, what this gives me is the ability to hook all of this up into dummy data, and then I have what I call this like little widget lab here, and it allows me to manipulate and see every single possible state. And it's all built on top of production, but it's using this like duplicated set of components and a totally different set of dummy data where I can see like every single state. And it's proving to be really helpful. So what I'm doing more now is building in this playground environment. Sometimes if it is very, like, and this is all a skill where like Claude then goes through it and it says, okay, is it super safe to update production? Do these already exist in production and we should just update them? Great, do it automatically. Mm-hmm. Is this requiring very minor backend where it's no risk and we should just do it? Great, do it automatically. If it's requiring anything that crosses this threshold that I defined with my engineer, then we just leave it in the playground. And it's my new handoff point, where previously I would have probably built the thing and had him review my code. I'm back to handing off kind of, but I'm handing off in this defined playground environment that has all of the bridges built to production. And we have this system where it leaves a comment on any of the components that are changed with the little the commit snippet, so that Claude can parse chronologically what has been updated. So it can only look at the things that are most recently updated when it's creating this like parity bridge. And so far we've probably done, I don't know, 15 ports between this playground set of components and the production set of components. And it's just worked. It's worked every time. And I'm working way, way more quickly. I'm able to see states more quickly. It's okay if I get way out ahead of production. Like, let me switch my screen. Sorry. Okay, here we go. So this is like the dashboard, right? This is actually out in front of production now. Like there's a few little things in here that are ahead, but it's okay. And I didn't want to do the back end for that. But I now know it's all my engineer has to do is run this skill and just say, hey, port this over. And it will just do it. And you can just, who cares how long it takes? You know, it just runs in the background. And now I have, again, this little widget guy here where I can just change things. Like if I'm looking at like notifications, for instance, this is going to dynamically update based off of which tab is there. And I can do things like crank up the people in the sidebar. I can crank up like the number of notifications and view all the different types.
It's so much better than like the manual documentation of every interaction pattern that you're trying to hand off to an engineer.
Yep. It's so there's still some kinks to iron out. And I'm kind of just figuring it out, but man, we'll report back. But this is the new way that I am prototyping right now, is parallel to I start in HTML. Maybe I'll move into paper to dial things in. And then at almost all of my actual prompts to build, like quote unquote, build it in code are just either pointing at something in paper or pointing at something in HTML and just saying, build that one. I say, build that one in the playground. And then it just does it. And it's so I think maybe going back to Hang's image, I'm doing, it used to be that I would truly put the block of clay, but I would put the block of clay in the production code base and then whittle it away. Yeah. And now I'm doing more random visualizations and experimentation just in quick HTML. And then getting to the point where I'm like, actually, I kind of have a pretty good idea of what I want this to do and look like and how I want it to behave. And then I point at that and I say, okay, now build this in the code base. And that has been a shift for me recently.
Yeah, I love that. It makes me think too, at that prototyping tool stage, ways to navigate your version control, but mostly to just see the variance across and having like a quick access link to maybe those variants. If they have something in paper, where are they at? So I can tweak. Like there seems to be some pretty interesting things you can do with that statement that duplication cost is nearing zero.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are so many other ways you can pull on that. Everything just takes time, but it doesn't matter because it happens in the background. You're not doing it.
Well, and something interesting. So that was super enlightening to see that. I have not seen, I did not know that you were going to show that, and I thought that was fantastic. Very similar to some of the insights shared by Charlie Dietz on your podcast a couple weeks ago, actually. Let's hear what he had to say.
I can write code, and I can write production code now in a way that I couldn't before. It seems very intriguing sometimes for me to just be like, I can just go make those changes. What I find a lot of the time is the scale that I work at the browser company, it is more impactful to kind of keep creating designs and sharing those with engineers rather than going too much into the work specifically. If I am distributing more designs, I am distributing the problems that come along with those designs. Whereas if I try to do it all myself and fix the problems, I will be wasting time. And I'm just trying to think about like,
what my special sauce is in the equation. I can pull things back. I can make it simpler. I can make it more understandable for the user. And yes, I care about making sure that button works exactly right or whatever. And I could have went in there and fixed it. But if I keep staying on this end of the equation, I'm more novel over there than I am in the execution realm, because like everyone can kind of execute right now. I feel embarrassed saying this, but in my personal life, like I write more code than ever. But in work, I've actually like probably shifted more towards Figma. And when I say that, I mean, I'm shifting even more away from prototyping, which sounds insane because like I've always considered myself to be a prototyper, but it's like I actually am like, hey, this is it, let's get it going, and then we'll like figure it out down the road.
That marked me, man. He said that and I did not stop thinking about it for the next 2 weeks. And 100%, that is the primary inspiration for what I just showed and why I even spent a long time to think about it.
Matching up. Yeah.
It's 100% because of that clip. I literally felt conviction, you know, like I've wasted time fidgeting with that little edge case that has to be figured out in order to actually ship something to production, when my true value and what I bring to the table already ended. You know, now I'm just doing the thing that kind of anybody can do to an extent.
But what's interesting, and now where I'm starting to feel convictions too, is this idea that, all right, designer is essentially this owner of building out the front end prototyping space the way you have, and is now kind of with all their arms zooming in and out on, okay, I'm going to do the ideation explorations here, and then I'm going to promote something that is ready to be seen. And if you think about, you take that a step further, you create the space, you create the mechanisms for promoting work to get into production or to get over to the next step. You can open that space up not to just you and your work or the design function, but you can open that up to everybody else who is wanting, like he said, like Charlie said, I want to make sure I can get this, distribute these challenges out. You can open that up to anybody else who is contributing to this problem space in a safe space that has a mechanic for promoting it to production without getting messy. Is that how you think?
Yeah, I think spot on. And I think there's also one disclaimer that I will give that is I got to imagine is a pretty decent sized variable in what he is saying. And also what I was experiencing over the last month is the fact is Charlie's working on a browser. He's not working on a Vite app, you know?
Right.
So there is more of a time cost. A lot of the AI tools, the things that we like, even something like agentation, you know, he didn't get that. DialKit, he didn't get that. Maybe they've built their own stuff, but I think there's probably something there too. Like when we did this experiment working on a Mac app, dude, there were whole days. Like I'd spend 3 days only in paper, nowhere else. I wouldn't even jump into code because it's a little bit more cumbersome, right? Like so much of the advice that's shared is just the stack, the web stack that has become so concentrated with all of these AI tools. So I will put that asterisk by it. Still though, I think anytime some big technological shift happens, not even related to design, the pendulum always overswings. And then we kind of correct and find the middle ground. I feel like over the last month, I've started to find my middle ground.
I'm feeling very similar, especially in this like mixed media, moving between tools. And it's certainly something we'll continue to talk about. It's also why it's so interesting to me to ask other designers in this community how their prototyping workflows have evolved. We're going to hear from two people, Seb Cornelius, one of my favorite. I actually think I nominated him recently.
Yeah, you did.
And I want to kind of see how he's working because he is a fascinating designer.
Okay, I'm excited for this.
I'll try and be as quick as possible, but I could talk about this all day. Yes, prototyping has completely changed for me. I'm still in Figma for just getting ideas out of my head and onto paper and just messing around with a ton of ideas as quickly as possible. But most of my prototyping now is just happening on this little prototype lab that I have running alongside whatever it is that I'm building. So for every different interaction that I want to mess around with, I'll just create a new folder and just toss all of my concepts and ideas into it. So then I can just really quickly just mess around with these little prototypes here. So maybe it was going to be like an Instagram thing or like a carousel thing, and just super quickly just got into the right direction and just found the right solution just way quicker than I probably would have before. So that's really, really cool, and that's got much more efficient. The other thing that I really like doing in the same lab is, once I've already worked out an interaction, more or less how I want it to work, is just really dialing it in and making it feel really special. So, so this 3D book, for example, before, like, getting this feel just right would have taken forever, like would have taken a long time in After Effects or something like that. But now I'm just dialing it in just like little bit by little bit until it just feels perfect, like on device, all of the haptics, everything. Just really, just so much better. So yeah, it's changed a ton. I've probably gone over my time, but yeah, changing for the better.
So I'll say this. Lot of similarities in what he's arriving to that you just explored. This ability to move between your components. Like, I'm going to just go into, okay, here's like a story feed, here's a thing, let me go in there, and then dialing it in. Dialing it in. This is a huge piece with an interface to help there. Obviously, DialKit made a lot of sense, but just to see both of you working in very similar ways, that's not nothing, man.
Mobile though, like typically he had to kind of build his own stuff. I've seen Chris Puckett share some of the stuff that he's working on where he kind of builds his own abilities to prompt Claude from his own app. I think that is interesting. It also makes me like, shout out Play, man. Remember Play? Yeah. They were so ahead of the game in terms of, yeah, you should just have sliders and be able to manipulate stuff on your phone.
Acquired by Apple?
Yeah, maybe there's an acqui-hired is more accurate. I'm not sure, but I think they didn't see the fact that like code was going to become so accessible. So the idea of doing it no code just didn't make any sense anymore. But like this is that, right? Like he kind of built his own lightweight Play on his phone. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks for sharing that, Seb. And then one more I wanted to hear from Clau Marin here.
Hello, Dive Radio. How's it going? Let me walk you through some workflows that I bumped into while building for my company. I can't share much, so I went into this diagram, built some diagrams and workflows here. It's hopefully easier to follow and take like screenshots. First is a scenario where I need to polish a vibe coded internet tool with proper branding. For this, I use Cursor and Pencil. So far, the scenario was that the developer's vibe coded internet tool with Chatien. Design was good. It was obviously Chatien defaults with some accent color, nothing bad about it. Then I went into Cursor, told it like, look, the web app is fine. Let's bring everything we have into Pencil, like components, web screens, and so on. Then I had all components from the existing app in Pencil. I went then in Figma, brought in our components like buttons, colors, typography, and some other stuff like, I don't know, drop-downs, tabs, and so on, but nothing too deep like that. Then I went into Cursor, told it like, check my selected frames in Pencil. I selected all the Figma imports into that. That's our current design system. Let's update everything we have now in Pencil with the proper colors, components, and so like get inspired by it and try to respect as much as you can, because it can look at borders, colors, borderings, and so on, and take it as the basis. After this finished working, I did some other manual refinement, something broke, and yeah, this can never be a one-shot. Went back in Cursor, and then I told like, good, now that we have the new designs in Pencil, because they were updated in web screens, let's make sure we bring all of this to our web app, and let's translate it perfectly, let's do a plan, and so on. And then let's see if I still have time for this. The other workflow was creating a website for the company. For this, I use Cursor and MagicPath. With the MagicPath skill in Cursor, you can talk to the agent, say, hey, look, using the MagicPath skills, let's build something, right? It will open up a browser with MagicPath Canvas into it. And this helped me really fastly do a lot of explorations. The explorations in MagicPath are interactive. You have shareable links, which you can share with your team. Yeah, after satisfying result, this was the mind-blowing part. I just told Cursor, now I have this screen selected, which had a name. Let's build this design into our code base, right? Let's build this homepage. Let's build this secondary page. It did a 99% one-shot, and all the time it did very good similar design, so that both the interactions, both whatever they built, crazy stuff, animated like some dots, pulsating and stuff. So yeah, no Figma was used into this process at all. So I went past 3 minutes. Sorry for that. Hope is not taking much of your time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
interesting to see the use of multiple canvas tools inside of that workflow.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's great. I love seeing. And by the way, love that people are willing to share their process, and asking people to do it in a short time frame is an exercise in brevity that I think everyone should practice. But it's really cool to see how people present work. I always kind of get a kick out of the meta of that whole thing.
Yeah. Same. It's
You know
cool.
what I mean?
That was actually that was fascinating. I think something, because like the split that I just saw was, do we dial in the actual UI, like the details in the canvas or not?
Right.
And I've kind of been playing with that variable a little bit recently. Like lately, it's been a lot of not actually, and even down to like a big uptick. Like I noticed he was bringing in components from Figma, kind of thing. Man, I'm having a lot of success with just a really good skill, like a paper skill, and then paper has all of my tokens. The one-to-one, like ability to know, like it's never going to mess up because it's literally body. This piece of typography is body, so it's the translation is perfect. I've found myself doing much more things in low fidelity. Like today, I did a mock-up in paper that was just text. I literally made the arrow key to like simulate the chevron, and I just typed out a bulleted list of what I wanted a settings page to be, and it one-shotted it kind of perfectly, just because it's like just a good design system set up. So I've been actually playing with how can I decrease the required fidelity in the canvas because the bridge is so good.
So where you went from oh no, we're gonna design with words, to now, oh no, we're gonna design with dials. Very cool. I love seeing the prototyping. I hope to see some more. We're doing some episodes on the channel. I know that you've got more interesting interviews coming out soon. So that is a thing that I think we'll continue to keep a pulse on. I want to call out, Faye has
slipping.
Jumped. Logan has jumped. Wow. I had a couple people ask, hey, it would be great to have some sort of reference link to see their work. There is a link. It's not visible. It's not good, but it is in there if you want to go and check out some context about them. We're working it. All right, we're working it.
We got the 1%. We got the characters in there. That's 1%. This page will be dope.
Better.
We'll get there.
1% better. So
to be fair, we were going to build all kinds of stuff and it was going to be amazing. And then Backyard Designers took off and we just threw everything else away and just built in that world for like 10 days. So custom slide.
And Backyard Designers, by the way, is kind of a front end itself, is probably not the big thing. But I'll say this: I think there's a lot of value in just the roster of it all. So expect to see us incorporate your little guy.
It's our own little guy galification.
Yes. So go check that out. Dive.radio/vote. It'll be up for a little bit longer. And before we continue, as we are getting close to wrapping up the show, Rid, if I can invite you to arm your Dive Radio call-in bridge. And we are quite close to getting this to work exactly. I mean, I think now it's a great listening experience, except for Rid. So Rid, please mute this page when you are done arming it. And for everyone else, I would like to invite you to start calling in. We are taking your calls, 1-833-DIVE-IN-1. Remain on the line for us. We're going to go over a couple of things here, and we've got time for a couple of calls. If you have any questions, you want to talk some crap, you want to tell us a joke, happy to hear it. In the meantime, the One Up Weekly segment where Rid and I try to one-up each other with cool finds that we come across each week is about to begin. Brought to you by Lovable, which I think is a very proper sponsor for a segment like this. Turn your ideas into software that people love. Thank you, Lovable, for this segment. I've got something I want to show you, Rid. I've got something that I think is kind of exciting, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Now, I know that these are overdone at this point. Everybody is making a shader tool, and nobody's a bigger fan of what I consider to be the OG of what we're about to look at, Unicorn Studio. But anytime Basement Studio releases something, I know it's going to be quality. And I want us to take a look at their shader lab here. Oh, I have to open this a little differently. Sorry about that. There we go. Oh, come on. I've got a little wonkiness with Arc. We'll pull it up this way. Here we go. And it really is like a miniature unicorn studio of sorts to really make a lot of different shaders. I haven't played a lot with this yet. I immediately checked it out. Oh, and I don't know if you...
Sound effects are good.
That's fun. No, that's so fun, dude.
That might be the best slider sound effect I've ever heard.
I agree. Dive Radio is super responsive here. Let's do a little thing. Geist Mono, big fan. Oh yeah, see, like this is kind of fun. What's great about this stuff too, and I'm always like, okay, it's great that it's a playground. The export options I thought were always great, right? Being able to do it in image or a video, the actual shader code, you can save it as a project to come back to inside of this. This is at eng.basement.studio. Very cool little tool that's coming out. That is one of my submissions for the One-Up Weekly. I'm going to follow up with one more, and then I'll let you go.
Yeah, you do it. You do it.
All right, all right. So Levels, famous indie hacker on Twitter. A lot of people have talked about, and I've experienced this too, with Claude, you get this like overly jargonized response output occasionally. It just comes up with crazy, a crazy set of language. And Levels shared a little bit of a rule structure that he created, and these things are fine. Like, you know, I've nothing against anyone creating these rules. They can be helpful. But Tom Johnson shared a skill. I'm going to use it a little bit more. Actually, I don't think this is Tom Johnson's skill. Sorry, he shared this called /bro. It basically is to ask Claude to be like, bro, come on, like, can you simplify this for a human, please? And solves the problem for you. So this is a great project created by, it is called the Bro Skill. And here, we'll look at it right here. This is called the Bro Skill. You can check it out. Worth a shot. If you were having the same problem, the refactor introduces an idempotent reconciliation layer atop the event source,
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so basically we added a safety layer that makes sure the old and new data don't go out of sync while we're switching systems. Yes. Yes.
Dude, I've been sending screenshots to my wife about how stupid some of these Claude responses are. I'll read 3 sentences. I'm like, I have no idea what you just said. Like, you couldn't make it more verbose.
The crash loop back off stems from the live blah 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 bro, and then it literally says, bro, your app takes too long to start up. It's so good. It's so good. I'm a fan, such a fan. It goes on to give more detail for those who can't see. My 2 submissions for the One-Up Weekly. Let's see what you got for me, Rid.
All right, I'll match you with 2 of my own. So this first one is out in left field. Man, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to make of this. I don't know how it works. I truly don't understand anything about it. But have you seen this? Can I go full screen? Is that going to work?
Hit it. Hit the full
screen. Okay. So just no context.
It's so janky. Can I play it? Can I play it on my side?
Yeah. I was afraid of that.
Because this looks
because it needs to be good. Freaking
this
Wi-Fi,
looks fun.
Man.
So give me a second. I'm gonna start this up.
Okay. I'll give a little context. You think you know what it is, and it's like it starts off and it's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. And then the last like 20 seconds breaks my brain a little bit.
There we go.
It's pretty cool, right?
What?
Just wait. I feel like the TikToker who's convincing you to wait till the end. Right. It's like the text appears, just wait for it. That's what I'm doing right now. Because you ain't seen nothing yet.
Dude. No.
Ready? Ready?
No. Yes.
How does that work? Riddle me that, Batman.
Wow. So it has a sandbox for like a contained artificial 3D space, and then you can pull it into the real sandbox of like real
And it
spatial.
understands. Look, like
Yeah.
it jumped onto that ledge. It understood the physics of the real world. How is it possible to make something like this?
Yeah, this is wild, dude.
We're so early on this. You know, like maybe we'll perpetually be early until we'll all just leave this earth and we'll still be early on this. I don't know if it's ever really going to hit, but man, that is interesting to me.
Very interesting. Pixel Cherry, follow. Please make more of that. That's incredible stuff. Okay, that's a pretty cool share. I know that it looks like this went hella viral. I missed this.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was kind of hoping, because it wasn't like a design thing. So I was hoping maybe that some people missed it.
I love that.
Can I say I texted you the other one? I'll just have you screen share it since you already have it up.
Is that the water paint?
The watercolor, yeah.
All right, let's hit it. Yeah. Again, another Steve Ruiz. I just love things on his behalf. This is cool.
It's so special, right? And like the way, like it really understands the physics of what it would look like to continually press and like get deeper. And it's amazing. Like if you just draw in one spot over and over and over again and watch it kind of expand and bleed.
That's crazy.
Really
dude.
cool. Yeah.
That's fun.
And it works beautifully on mobile too. Like my wife and I were literally laying in bed last night because I found it. I was like, you gotta play with this. And we were just drawing on our phones. It's fun.
This is a lot of fun. I would love to do this. You don't have an iPad with an Apple Pen, do you?
Somewhere I do, yeah.
I want to play with this. This actually would be like a really, if it works really well with that, it'd be a very rewarding little experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of makes you wonder how long it took to build this, right? Like it might not have taken that long. Again, it's like down to just ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna give it to you.
I never win designer of the week, so you got to give me something.
Yeah.
I think it's only fair.
We have no one in the waiting room. No one wants to call and chat with us. I'll tell you what, Rid. I want the call-in segment to work so well, and I'm like of the mind that the more we ask folks to call in, and the longer we run the show, that we're gonna have some unhinged call-in segments. But I don't know. Is the call-in working? Guys, what do we think? Those tuning in, call in? No call in. I want to hear about it.
It's whenever it happens, then the comments pop off with people liking it so much. But I think people are don't be shy.
Maybe we got to market.
I'll give you a little fun fact. I'm blanking on his name. Jason or James. He called it. Remember the website that we reviewed with kind of you walk into the storefront. So he joined the Talent Network shortly afterwards.
Yeah, let's go, dude.
Immediately got like I should have taken a screenshot of a team that everybody here knows, and they were flipping out at that website. And now he's like in some pretty cool pipelines. So
that is
a fun closing of the loop. Yeah.
I love that. Well, we'll give it a second longer. If anyone wants to call in, join us on the show for a couple of minutes, questions or comments, or just to say hello. In the meantime, we are going to check out we're going to announce this. Wow. That's a fun comeback. That's a fun comeback.
Really?
I don't have it pulled up here. Here we go. Not comeback, but just the fact that Faye was kind of she pulled ahead and she maintained her spot. Very cool. I am shocked. I thought for sure Anna was gonna take this all the way, and I agree. I think with the feedback that I want to be able to more obviously see their work from the links. We'll fix this. This whole thing's getting reworked, guys.
Yeah, I was about to say you still have the like cliche Claude colors. Even we're gonna design this.
This was very one-shotted.
Yeah.
But I will say, Faye, congratulations, Dive Club's Designer of the Week, August 13th. Thanks for letting us.
Well deserved.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us.
I'm like 92% confident that I stood next to Faye in line for Config London 2 summers ago. Just a little reminder at how small this community is.
Yeah. Config London looked like a good time, like a
It
small.
was very different and very fun. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I'm closing this out. Faye has won, and very cool. Very, very cool. Faye, would love to hear your nominee next week. If you are so inclined, we'll reach out with that. In the meantime, yeah, we're going to shut off the dive line, and we'll continue to test that out, I think, in the coming weeks and see if that's still interesting to folks. If it is not, then 1% every week, man.
If not, we got a cool looking C phone icon.
Yeah, guys, we made an icon for it and everything. Come on, that's what we have. What's up, everybody? What did I miss? Who do we have? George Petton. What's up, George? Good to see you, man. Well, what are you doing, Rid? What's the rest of the weekend look like for you?
Yeah, I'm in a building phase. I think I got a lot of in-flight stuff. It's just, trying to just different shots on goal and different combinations. And we arrived at a combination where I'm like, okay, actually that's pretty interesting. And it's like one of those things, when you kind of just know what to build and you just got to do it as fast as you possibly can. Kind of in that. And honestly, it's so energizing. It feels really good to wake up and just be like, yeah, I'm going to do like 6 or 7 meaty PRs today. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do. And I'm in that phase and it feels good. So that'll probably be my next few days. And also catching up on the freaking applications for the Talent Network after Backyard Design went viral. I am buried. So
yeah,
that is my weekend.
That volume is insane. We'll continue to talk about Backyard Designers. Again, more interested in the directory aspect of it than I think the front end. The front end was just a fun project. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with you, man. For those who don't know, Rid is a very is a fun collaborator, and I'm sure that most people who've worked with you think that, and very tolerant of my squirrel brain, who has 1,000 ideas a minute.
The squirrel brain, indeed.
I'll be like, yo, we're doing this show tomorrow, but actually, what do you think about this skit that I want to produce with you?
Yeah. Well, collaborating with Tommy is having unread text messages, opening the thread and scrolling up and just wondering how many minutes and how many combinations of voice notes you're going to get. So sometimes you'll scroll up and it'll be like a 7:14 followed by like a 8:13 minute voice memos. And you're like, whew, there's probably 94 ideas in those two. Sometimes I have to sit down and I open up Granola and I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's
give me the summary.
Let's ingest these ideas because I will not be able to keep track of them all.
I want to create an app that I talk into, synthesizes and summarizes my voice note in my 11 Labs voice and sends it to you. Although that would just be too doesn't work super well yet. But there's something in that. So
it's inevitable. It's inevitable.
A good time. Well, everybody, I think we didn't hit 90 minutes as we intended to today. We went over just about by 5 or so.
But like a pretty good step in the right direction.
Better. We're trying to get closer to 90 minutes a session, not 2 hours as we've been. It helps us. So good work. Good work today.
Good work, man.
Awesome. Well, everybody, we will see you next week. We've got some pretty cool stuff coming up. Now people called in. You got to do it sooner, guys. I'm sorry. We'll see you next week on some good topics. So